classes in 2 months. 5 if you include orientation, but I don't think I want to include that one because that you actually start before, I think 15 days before you start your program. I started my program March 1st. By the end of March, I had completed 2 classes, and then by the end of April, I had completed an additional 2 classes. I picked up my 5th class mid-April, and it is now the first week in May. So I'm coming up 3 weeks on this 5th class that I'm trying to get finalized so that I can pick up the next class. My plan is I want to accelerate as much as I can. The way that WGU split it up was that I had 7 terms, which it's 2 terms in a year, 6 months long. Basically said that with 7 I would have 3.5 years to complete my degree. So I thought, my goal is to finish it in a year and a half at the most. So I had originally said 2 years at the most, but I think I'm gonna finish. Right now I'm on track to be accelerated, and it looks like I'm gonna finish in a year and a half. If I can get it down and squeeze more, then I can, all while trying to retain information, of course. I'm not trying to go through the classes super fast and not retaining any of the information, because I think that that's very important. But it does make it easier that I go through the material, I understand it, I have an understanding of it, and then I test out. And so far that's proven that it's true, because I'm testing out and I'm passing these tests. I went back to school. I had been talking about it for on and off. Now, if you have been watching my videos, you know that I talked about taking classes through Sophia, getting some of those classes knocked down before I started at WGU. And then when I decided that I did want to take the WGU route, I was stuck between getting a bachelor's in computer science or going a different path. Right now, my career experience has been very data and business analyst, the healthcare side, and so I decided to pursue or to get my bachelor's in data analytics. And then I am still trying to figure out what career path I want to take, but the more that I'm in these classes, taking these classes, and the closer that I get to finishing my degree, the more of an understanding and idea I'll have on which route I want to take. And depending on which route I want to take, I'll go back. I do want to go ahead and get my master's that I'll get my master's in will depend on what career path I want to take. I have taken at WGU right now, and let me get that pulled up, that I have completed have been orientation, of course, if you want to count that one, change management, intro to analytics, IT leadership foundations, and fundamentals of spreadsheets and data presentations. It's been great because I've been meeting with a program mentor. You get paired with the program mentor in the first 6 months, like your first term. She checks in with you, he or she checks in with you every week. I've scheduled a call for Monday mornings, and we check in every Monday morning and talk about progress. So that's one of the things that has helped. It kind of keeps me motivated. It's kind of like reporting back to her, but it's not I'm not obligated to, right? So like if I tell her I'm gonna take the test this weekend and I don't, it's not a big deal, because they fully understand that people that are in WGU are taking it because you either have a full-time job, you've had the experience, or you have a lot going on. So it's very accommodating in that sense. Not saying that everyone in WGU has the same experience in that aspect of their life, but it definitely does help, and they are understanding of that. Things come up, you have to shift, you have to pivot, and you go from there. As long as you're moving forward and they see that you're moving forward, I think that's the key there. So whenever I spoke to her, I kind of mentioned my goals for accelerating, and she said, okay, it's doable, right? And so I started with telling her I always ask, what is the estimated time frame for this class? I'm not saying that it's going to take me that long, not saying that I'm going to need that entire time, or that like one class. She said it normally takes a month, and I got it completed within like a week because it was a paper. Another one that she said it's taken like it's different time frames for different people. I kind of want to get the idea of how challenging is this class going to be, and how time consuming. So meaning if this class is really time consuming, then I am gonna unplug from everything else and just focus on getting this class down. if it's something faster paced by writing a paper, going over the information and writing a paper, then I know that I can try to knock it down, really focus on it, and I know that I can fit in another class. So far, I've only taken one class at a time. Well, with the exception of these last two. I would normally do, because with WGU you have objective assessment, which is proctored test, or you have, so performance assessment is like you either have a project or like a paper. So far they've been papers for me, and so with those I've been able to knock them down in like a week. The most one took was 2 weeks. My paper sent back, the instructor was out of office, and so I had to work around that. And the objective, I've taken it, you have a practice objective exam that you take, and once that unlocks, it gives you your scores, kind of like if you've passed or if you're failing. If you're failing, then you know that you can't take the objective yet, because your chances are more than likely you're not going to pass it. If you pass it and it's really good, then you can move forward and take your objective and test out of the class and move on. You completed that class. So there's that, and it's been great trying to fit WGU and accelerating around my schedule. Work a full-time job Monday through Friday, have 2 kiddos. I found a schedule that works for me, and of course sometimes you can't because of, you know, the kiddos waking up and responsibilities. But what I found that helps is I have a planner. Each class I write down when I picked it up and when I completed the class, and it helps. And I go in, and if it's sectioned off by units, sections, you know, the material, like the course material, then I'll go in and I'll break it down, and I'll do like this much I'm gonna try to complete this much on Monday. Tuesday I'm gonna try to complete this much, and so on and so forth. Of course it doesn't always work out that way, but I try to be a little bit more lenient based on the fact that I am working a full-time job and I do have a family. What has helped is that I'm waking up early, I'm logging in an hour before work, and so that is my time for school, and then I'm logging into work, working, and then after work, if we go somewhere, I take my iPad and I'm just studying, taking notes, and I try to break it out that way. I have my notebook that I write all my crazy notes, and it's a mess. It's not aesthetically pleasing whatsoever, but it keeps me on track, and especially with like vocab words. And so I just write it down, and it's all crazy, and highlight what's important. And I am mixing subjects. I don't know if that drives anybody crazy, but I do mix subjects, and only because these classes are accelerated, that sometimes I start writing down information and I realize that it's making sense. So then I go through the material and it's all clicking, right? I take the test, I pass it, and I move on. And so I'm not gonna buy a notebook for every subject or every class that I'm taking. So like I have intro to analytics, right? And I took notes, and then look, I started, and then I moved. I didn't even complete those because I wrote it down to break it up, and then I started. I mean, I did really good. I passed it and I moved on. So that's another one. And then I started scripting and programming, which is what I'm taking now. And yeah, and that's where I'm at. So my notes are crazy. Yeah, I don't split it up by subject. And then my planner, I got this at Ross. I love planners, and I keep up with everything in here. Like any extracurriculars for the girls, because I need to be aware of that, right? Any notes that try to stick out. But like this is, when I started in March, I broke it down by sections, and this looks crazy too, and I'm a checklist kind of girl, so I like marking things off. So satisfying to be able to knock it off and like put a little check mark to me. So I, you know, for this one was, I think I passed this one in 2 weeks. No, I passed this one in a week. I started Sunday, and then you see here, wait, did I start Sunday? I did, because March 1st was on a Sunday. Oh, but I didn't write it down. So I went through the information and I just split it up, and I did like lesson 5 quiz, lesson 1 quiz, 2, 2, 2, 2. Lesson 4, right, 2, 2, 2. a lesson 4 test, lesson 5 test, lesson 4 quiz, and then yeah, and then I took my performative assessment is the practice. I passed that, and then OA proctored, got an 81 from what I calculated because it doesn't give say, and then I passed it, and then I moved on. I think I took Saturday, or no, I took the proctored on Saturday morning or Sunday morning. I don't remember. Anyways, and then, oh yeah, right here. Sunday morning, and then I passed, and then I started the next one. That's how I try to break it up so that I have it written down and I can just cross it out. I did the same thing with the class that I'm in, but it's a little bit more information heavy. That one's taking me a little bit to get through. And then we have the tornado. So that's Sunday that I was actually studying Saturday, and I got a lot done. I submitted a paper for one of the previous class that I was working on, which is change management, and I submitted it Saturday, and I was like, okay, that's it. Or was it Saturday? Maybe Thursday, Friday, I don't remember. Anyways, it's all a blur. And then Saturday I was working on scripting and programming, and I was like, okay, that's good, we're gonna come to a stop. And then Sunday I'm gonna pick it back up and get a lot done, right? Because I had already like, okay, we're gonna straighten up, we're not gonna make a mess or whatever. I'm just not gonna do Sunday reset with the exception of laundry, and then I'll just focus on my class. And then the tornado happened Saturday night. So Sunday we were out of power. Saturday night we were out of power. So I just worked on what I had before the tornado hit, and then Sunday we were out of power, and then the rest of the week was just, kind of like set me back to my standards. Then Monday we got power back in the morning, and we spent the entire Monday just trying to clean, trying to get as much done as possible. And then Tuesday was back to work, and so getting back into it was kind of hard to wrap. Like, it was just hard. I think Tuesday I finally felt that the tornado had hit, like the reality of everything that had happened. And so I was like, okay, so I was having a hard time with that while like trying to juggle work. And so then the rest of the week just kind of went like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, life happens, but do the best that I can. So, but there's that. Those are my little stuff, my little spiel. I've been taking tests Sunday mornings because my mom has her soccer games Saturday mornings. So Sunday works, everyone's sleeping in, and I come in, I log in, I get set up for my proctored, and the house is quiet. So that's one thing that's worked for me, especially with having kiddos. And I mean, I work in here, the kiddos come in and they open the door. There's no need to knock, right? And then if they see me with my headset on while I'm working, they know I'm on a call, and they know, oh, okay, mom's on a call, right? Sometimes, them being kids, they'll be like, mom, and I'm like, I'm on a call. But other than that, so that's the only thing, and it's proctored. I don't want to get dinged for anything. So I just found that if it's better if I just make it Sunday morning. Like I said, everyone's asleep. My husband's asleep with them, and if they need something, he can get up with them, and it's easier, and it's worked out. It's been great. I will recommend it. I thankfully got a great program mentor. She's already this is my last class for the term, and she's already picked up the next class, or telling me to pick up the next class for the second term so that I can get started. So she's already put everything in place, because they have to unlock it for me to not wait on her. She's very proactive. And every time I pass a class, she always emails me and says, congratulations, you passed another class, which it feels very rewarding, I should say, because it's like I passed the class, and it's like, yes, knock it off the list. It disappears from your list, right? And switches over to completed. But then I'm also getting a follow-up email from her saying congrats, and so that in itself, it feels good. I have heard of horror stories though that other people get with program mentors, but thankfully that's not the case with me. It's been a smooth process, and yeah, it's been great. So that has been how I've been able to complete 4 classes in 2 months. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. There's so much more that I have to do. Like, looking at this list is like, oh my goodness, but we're making progress, and that's what matters. But anyways, if you have any questions, if you're curious about anything, let me know. Feel free to comment down below, like this video. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on school, or if you've joined WGU, what your experience has been like. But yeah, anyways, that's it. That's all for now. Thanks guys, thank you so much for watching. Much love to everyone and have a great day.